Hello, I'm Aaron Heiss, the current cable producer for City of Riverview. I'm with Mike Polinar, the owner of A&P Electronics, here on 18727 4th Street. How you doing, Mike?
Good, Aaron. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm glad you're with me today. So let me first ask you, why'd you get into the electronic business?
Well, this has been a family-owned business since July of 1948. So my father started with a partner up in Southwest Detroit, and it's been family-owned since then.
1948. So do you like your business?
Yeah, I enjoy working on the equipment I work on. I enjoy interacting with people. Yeah, I enjoy what I do.
Is it problem solving? Is it?
Problem solving, I feel I can be helpful to people when they've got problems in that. I try to be as helpful as possible when they have even things that are out of my normal expertise.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I personally have electronics that break down all the time and need help, especially in video games. My video game system will break. I play old ones.
Well, that's one thing I unfortunately don't do a lot of in video games.
No.
But I mean, I get a lot of people calling just with basic questions on whether they should be investing money in a particular unit that's possibly older. What I think approximately the repair costs, and I have no problem answering those questions over the phone and trying to be as helpful. It does me no good to have somebody upset or not even dropping something off and not picking it up because the cost of repair is too high. That's useless for both of us.
Yeah, I get that. You mentioned that you're a family-owned business, and so was it you getting into with your family, or?
Well, over the years, yes, I've had siblings that worked for my father and myself, and they've all decided they didn't really want to do this for a living, and I was the only one that stayed with it.
Hey,
So,
at least you made a career out of it. I mean,
well, I'm sure my dad would still be coming in if his eyesight was good enough. He'd still come in and work.
I bet he would. My dad he's had 4 heart surgeries, and he still gets around and
Right.
still tries to do
Well,
everything
good.
himself.
That's good to know. That's good to hear.
You ever have any obstacles along the way?
Any business has obstacles. You have.
I'm sure you get disgruntled customers every now and then.
Oh, sure. I mean, you try to handle those as best you can. Try to keep everybody as happy as possible. Yeah, there's obstacles always. Mostly training and learning new technologies has been some of the biggest obstacles in the last 10 years. The business has changed immensely in that time.
Yeah, well, yeah, electronics too, really. So, you ever had any doubts along the way as you got into this business with your father? Like, I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should go deliver pizzas or something.
Oh, sure. Sure, when people ask you, hey, or tell you, hey, I'm making this amount of money working here and that, you think, boy, maybe I shouldn't have done this, maybe I should have done something and just gone to work for somebody else. But you do have the independence of being your own boss, so there is very big pluses to that.
So you obviously been in it with your father for a long time. Did you ever have to seek advice?
Oh, sure, I still do. I was actually with him this last weekend, and we were just talking about it, and he was asking me how business is and everything about it. And he's still interested in it. Like I said earlier, he would still come in if he was able to drive and so on.
So you mentioned you originally started in Detroit, your
Right,
father's business.
right. Mm-hmm.
Is it still there?
No.
No. Is
No.
this your only location now?
Yes. Yes. And we moved into Riverview in the early 70s, maybe 1970.
So you've been here like 40 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know why you guys chose Riverview, or any particular reason?
It was location to where we lived at the time, and availability of the building. We were actually, when we first moved into Riverview, we were down the street where at Hale Street in Ford.
All right, so you only hop
Yeah.
a few
Right.
buildings over.
Right.
I mean, you're on a main road, so it does help attract some
Yes.
business, I assume.
Yes.
Except for the speed limit.
Well,
things go by.
It's a state road.
Are you interested in staying in Riverview?
Yes, yes. I don't foresee any reason not to be in Riverview.
All right.
It's a central enough location to the immediate downriver area. Everybody knows pretty much when they call asking where we're at, they understand where 4th Street and Sibley Road is, so.
Yeah, it's a pretty known
Yeah.
roads.
Right.
Have you ever had any competitors knock on your door, seek advice from you, or challenge you? I'm going to take over your business. And I'm gonna
All
sell
over
it
the
to you."
years, there's been plenty of people that have been, when we were first moved, we were in retail sales at one point heavily. And, you know, people would be, and that's back, you're going back before you had the mega store selling electronics and televisions and so on.
Right.
So, yeah, you'd have people over the years, yep, I'm gonna come into the neighborhood and I'm taking over, and we're here and they're not, so. As some testimonial to our resolve, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it does help to shop around a little bit too.
Right, oh, absolutely, I always tell people, because I've got several companies that I do work for with their extended warranties and that, and I try to have some allegiance, but I always tell people, I said, you can go see this, or this person at this, or this place. I said, but by all means, always shop the price, always ask questions.
Yeah, it does help that like fellow businesses get along with each other too.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, but there's
'cause you never know when they need
there
help
is-
or you need help.
Yeah, there is a new gentleman down the street in a similar business, not exactly the same as this. And I've already had conversations with him. I send people to him because certain things I don't work on, and I know he's sent people to me, so.
Would you recommend any of your friends or other businesses to come to Riverview?
Yeah, absolutely. I think working with the city is not a tough thing to do. They're always very accommodating. The infrastructure here, especially now that 4th Street's new, I would highly recommend, you know, somebody if they want to use it. It's a very high traffic area, and your exposure is, you
Yeah, I don't.
know, off the page in my opinion. And
Yeah, I think the speed limit needs to be slowed down myself, but I don't. I think Michigan has to handle that, not the city.
yeah, well,
MDOT or whatever it is. I know you're at this location. You don't plan on expanding or anything, do you?
no, not currently, no.
Yeah, you've been here for a long time. So.
Yes.
Got your foot in the ground, so to speak.
Yes.
You think there's any particular reason that draws clients into your business?
I think more the type of business that it is. And I'd like to say that people, when they talk to me on the phone initially, they feel comfortable with the way I operate the business and how I answer their questions.
So I only mentioned your name, A&P Electronics. Tell me what exactly you repair or fix or handle.
Boy, as a main core of the business, it's a television and consumer electronics repair center. But we also do computers, more heavily into computers now than we've been in the past. I repair anything vintage receivers like the one here, to back there, a brand new laptop computer. So I dabble in a little everything. I have a monitor here from a piece of industrial equipment that I'm working on for a local company that needed, they have a grinding machine of some kind. And this is the monitor that they watch to control the machine. So I've worked on everything. There's actually a radar over there and all different kinds of GPS equipment and so on that I've worked on in the last 5 years.
Let me just touch on this really fast. I like to vintage shop myself. I'm heavily into antiques, so you could probably repair some antiques for people out there.
In the last 2-3 months, yep, I've either purchased and resold refurbished vintage electronics. Gentleman that owns this particular Pioneer just had a Marantz from the 70s in here, and I was able to get that one completely refurbished and up and running. And he liked it so much he brought in his Pioneer. So,
Hey,
but yeah, and I much enjoy doing the older vintage receivers and speakers and so on.
my grandpa himself would very good memories of my grandpa. He'd sit out in the garage all day and listen to Tigers games. And
Right.
Ernie Harwell, and he had this particular radio.
Right.
And when he passed away, somebody snatched it. And I looked forever for it, and I finally found it. And it doesn't work, and I had it repaired. Not with you, unfortunately,
Yeah,
but
okay.
you know, just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
it's a good thing to have memories like that.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, I've had people call me on certain items that they get an attachment to, and I always advise that it's like in your case, it's not your grandfather. It's a nice memory, but again, don't.
Exactly.
I tell people, I try to advise people, do not overspend on certain things. It's just not worthwhile doing. It becomes a problem for both of us.
Yeah, some of the antique parts are really expensive.
Expensive, hard to get, and unreliable.
Yeah. Do you have a website that customers can go to? And
It's well, it'd be www.apelectronicsservice.com. And my wife and my younger son also handle the Facebook page that's out there under A&P Electronics on Facebook. You can take a look at that. That has comments and so on from people that I've serviced and that.
The way the social medias work these days is pretty intertwined.
Right.
So,
Right, and I'm not, even though I do a lot of technical things as far as doing social media, I'm not as astute maybe as I should be.
hey, my mom still uses the dial rotary phone on the wall. She doesn't even have a cell phone.
Uh-huh.
You know, she's young enough still to be in the cell phone. My dad's glued to his. My mom, she just still picks up the rotary and click, 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 click. If someone would call you and say, "Hey, why should I do with business with A&P Electronics?"
Well, usually what I do is when they call for any particular item, I ask what it is, age possibly if they know, and particularly if they know the model number and manufacturer, and then a good description of what they need serviced on it. And then I can inform them whether, no, they absolutely don't spend any money on that unit because of it's going to be a problem. Because we're still transitioning some people from the old analog television to the newer flat panel digital. And there's still quite a few, believe it or not, that are out there using that and actually do like them and want to keep them running.
Well, some of the older TVs service, like the old video games I like to play, they tend to playability on it, and compatible.
That is one thing that I've had a lot of people coming in saying, I need this to work because I want to run a certain game on it. And like I said, it's more compatible with that type aspect ratio.
And it seems like the industry has changed really fast. Because I've been in film, and it went from film to digital real fast.
Right.
I mean,
well, you can see that in just your cameras now. Just look at your cell phones.
Yeah, it's
you can take absolutely gorgeous pictures with a cell phone.
15 years ago, you had to have 15 items. Now you can do it all in one, pretty much.
Polaroid used to sell a lot of film, so did Kodak.
Yeah, they don't. Well,
not much anymore.
I worked for Kodak, and they went bankrupt. So
yeah, well,
I lost my job there. Is there anything you think that Riverview can do to help your business?
I think possibly something like we're doing here. You let people know that when they drive by these storefronts that there are real people in there. But I think Riverview is working towards promoting the business district here on 4th Street. It's it's going to be a changing deal, and that they're going to have to work with for years to come. But I think they work pretty well with businesses and trying to help us out.
It's a highly ranked city on the national charts. Was there anything else you'd like to add or tell people that I might have asked?
No, I mean, I treat everybody as if they were almost a friend, and we'll work with anybody on almost anything at any time. So if you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to call.
Well, I just walked in your doors and welcome me with open arms, and here I am.
Yeah. Well,
thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Mike.
Or Mike, sorry.
You're awesome. All right, thanks.
See, I forgot your name.
Mike.